Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. We are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, as we do every weekday starting around 1 p.m. and going throughout the afternoon. We cover a wide range of topics here, but this is something that I think everybody in the Northwest is very familiar with. We are in wildfire season. There are a number of them across the state, across the Pacific Northwest that are going, and even beyond that. And those have wide-ranging impacts on a number of different things, including our roadways. So we're going to be talking about that and the fact that Governor Kotek has declared a state of emergency that actually runs through the end of this year. We want to know what that means. What are the important things you should know if you're out there driving around for this summer? You know, what to do if you do encounter a wildfire or smoke comes over the road. A lot of things to go with that. And to do so, we are very thankful to have joining us right now. We've got Stephen Richardson from the Oregon Department of Emergency Management. And Stephen, you know, thanks for being here to cover some of this stuff with us and walk through this. And I think to start off, would you mind maybe as a general description of letting us know what this state of emergency declaration is and what really that means for people?
Yeah, definitely. So under Oregon Revised Statute 401, the state of emergency that was declared by Governor Kotek really allows the State Coordination Center to activate, as well as activate our 18 emergency support function agencies. And they do just that. They support the activation to make sure that if we are needing short-term or long-term housing situations, clean airs, we're talking about wildfire smoke, or even road debris with the Oregon Department of Transportation, utilizing the ESF structure and the Coordination Center helps to make sure that there is efficient, coordinated response to the wildfires throughout the state, really.
Well, okay, gotcha. That makes sense. So this is really a hub that you can go to and be like, hey, there's a problem here. We need this agency. We need this person. We need somebody to be here. And you can kind of direct that.
Correct. So most agencies will have either a regional coordination program or they'll have a point of contact on these emergency support functions. And those functions, although there's 18, there may be a primary agency, but there's a lot of supporting agencies that go behind that. It really is that nexus of coordination. What is the need? How do we get the need? Do we elevate to state level? And then how does the state respond to the local community by providing that need? Some examples could be communications. We need some better communication trailers. Could be water for some of the folks down who've had some of their infrastructure damaged or compromised. So all those are different state agencies that have that regulatory responsibility, but it's coordinated through the state coordination system.
And I would imagine when those things are happening, I mean, these are things that need to happen now, quickly. I mean, as wildfires or emergency situations, you know, you can plan for them, but when it happens, it's something that's got to be taken care of right away. So I think that's great that you have that ability, you know, to coordinate with all those agencies. When we're looking at the state right now, you know, we've got some of these wildfires that are going on in several different places. How is OEM working with those currently with say like the Cram fire that's over there in Madras?
Yeah, so we use our hazards dashboard that really outlines all the wildfires throughout the state. So I would highly recommend anyone bookmark it on your phone, on your computer. It definitely has as most real-time information that we're able to provide to the public of new starts, as well as fires that are currently going and evacuation areas. Essentially, when a fire starts, it's dealt with at the local level, and as that local level is using its local fire resources, mutual aid agreements, if those are overwhelmed, then they're asking for additional support. That could be through Oregon Department of Forestry or the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office, or even other agencies to be able to come and provide that. That's all done through these requests for assistance that comes through the Emergency Coordination Center.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for explaining that. I think that's very interesting just to know how that all works. Well, when it comes to, you know, wildfires and smoke, I wanted to talk about the roadway side of things too, because, you know, it's summer. A lot of people like to get out. They like to drive around the Northwest. It's beautiful, but these wildfires can come up pretty quickly. And so what are some important things that people should know just about driving in the Northwest when it comes to wildfires and the potential for smoke to maybe surprise someone and kind of come out of nowhere?
Yeah, so the roadways are definitely something to be aware of. You know, when you're going to a trailhead, when you're going to a lake, if you're going off grid, you know, think of the Boy Scout motto or the buddy system, if you would. Somebody should know where you're at all times, especially if we don't have cellular signal somewhere, or you just can't always rely on your phone, right? So having that continuity of someone and knowing when you're supposed to be back is always probably a really good plan to have. When you're out there, know where you're going and know what other roads are out there. If there is going to be a road closure, ODOT's trip check is probably the best way to know when roads are being closed and what those alternate routes are. You can't always rely on the Google or Apple Maps because they may not have that updated info. So ODOT's trip check website has got a lot of good information, but even just the old school maps of knowing where the Forest Service roads are, and if you or the some of the off grid roads, how would you get from point A to point B, and have that kind of pre planning of if something were to happen, how would we get out?
So having that all lined up, and I like that point too of letting people know, where you're going, what you're going to be doing, and when you're going to be back. What are some other things that you think, are really good for people to be aware of when it comes to this kind of season and these different ways, different things that could happen really quickly?
Yeah, so I mean, Oregon is beautiful, right? But it can also be unpredictable, and so you always want to make sure you have some resources, have some food and some water. We recommend, 1 gallon per person. You can go to our Be 2 Weeks Ready program, which really is for households, but a lot of that can be transitioned to your vehicle as well if you're going to be out, camping, or you're going to be out for a while. So having, flashlights, extra batteries, water, food, again, that communication lifeline, maps and systems, a lot of the response can be mitigated if you just take a few moments to pre-plan of where you're going, check what the weather's going to be like. We're coming out of a heat wave. It's not something very normal to the Pacific Northwest to be in triple digit, temperatures up this far. So if it's going to be warmer, maybe bring more water. So I think just that pre-planning and making sure you're prepared for the elements, the environment, where you're going, and is going to really be key.
One question I did have, just to go into this as well, because wildfires can spring up, unfortunately, very quickly sometimes. Say you're out there driving and you do find yourself on a road where you start seeing wildfire smoke coming onto that. Are there any recommended steps or things that people should do, or is that more kind of depends on the situation?
I think there's some basic steps. I mean, first off, stay calm. I mean, there could be smoke. So that smoke could be blowing in and settling. But if it seems like you're in an active wildfire area, the biggest thing is for your safety, be calm and see if you can go back out the way that you came, or if there's another route to get out of an area. If the smoke is so thick, then you might need to just phone for help or let someone know that where you're at and pull off to the side of the road. We definitely don't want folks to be driving in the blind. But some things would be, turn off the fresh air intake and do recirculation so you're not pulling in smoke into your vehicle as you're driving down the road. Make sure windows are closed up. And if you have any KN95 or N95 masks around, those can also help, or just kind of something to protect some of the breathing on your face and so forth. And you can get some information on like Oregon DEQ's website of how to plan for some of that. But yeah, definitely if you're in an area, you're seeing smoke, first off, make sure you're safe, make sure your vehicle's safe, and then try to report it if you have cell signal, or try to get within range to be able to report that.
All right. Well, hey, Stephen, this is a lot of really great information that you're sharing here. So I appreciate that. Anything else that you think is important that we should get out there for people?
The biggest thing is again, just a little bit of pre-planning can save you a lot of headache later on. Whether you're out hiking and you're needing water to be prepared for that heat. If you're on the waterways, making sure you have personal flotation devices and things are waterproof, because if your phone gets wet and doesn't work, you've lost a communication lifeline. So just really think about when you're going to go out into our beautiful environment, and what are some things you can think about that might be able to happen that you can prepare for. That's just going to make you a lot better prepared for if something happens.
And probably a lot more comfortable too, just knowing that you've got that's taken care of, then you go out there and enjoy yourself, as you mentioned there. Well, Stephen, thank you very much for being here with us. I appreciate your time and all the work that you all do for those things, for coordinating everything like this, and being here on Fox 12 now. Thanks.
Thank you.
And for everybody watching, again, we are live streaming here, and we get to do segments like that. That's very important information that everybody should know, if we're in the Northwest or really anywhere. But you all know here, wildfire season, as I mentioned at the beginning, is upon us, and these these are good tips for everybody to be aware of. So feel free to share this segment, let other people know about it, and share this information. You can go to kptv.com. You can go to any of those sites that Stephen mentioned, and so lots of places there to find that, and just be cognizant of what's going on out there, especially when these wildfires happen. All right, that's it for right now, though. We are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon Newsroom. As I mentioned, we've got more coming up, and if there's ever breaking news, this is also the place to go. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.